Hello, this is Stephen Poe, and I'm with the University of Arizona, and this is ASM 301. We're talking about Chapter 14, Land Descriptions. The objectives for this chapter are to understand the three common methods of describing land, be able to use the rectangular system to read and write legal descriptions, and finally to use the rectangular system to determine the number of acres from a written description. The thing to keep in mind when we're talking about surveys is that surveys, the rectangular 24-mile surveys, are divided up into townships, and the townships are 6 miles square. That means you've got 6 miles on each side. So if you have a 6 mile square, this is approximate. The townships are further divided then from those 36 sections of approximately 640 acres each into fractional parts, and that's the part that we're going to have to talk about in today's lesson to make sure you understand those. Because the meridians converge at the poles, we're talking about kind of a shape like this. A system of subdivisions was used to adjust for the convergence of the meridians, and the reason is that, of course, as the lines get closer and closer together as they get closer to the poles. So that means that the guide meridians are not continuous, but they have adjustments at each standard parallel to allow for this convergence. The other details you need to know is that a quadrangle, that's a square tract of area, approximately 24 miles on each side. A township, there are 16 townships, each approximately 6 miles on a side, and those are further divided into sections. So each township, quadrangle, is divided into townships, and there's 16 of those, and each of those is further divided into sections, and there's 36 of those per township. And each section, you've probably heard this one before, each section contains approximately 640 acres. And then you have quarter sections, and then those can be further divided into smaller and smaller component parts. So a quarter section is divided, that means each section is divided into quarters, and they're approximately 1/2 mile on a side, containing about 160 acres. Quarter sections are then going to be divided into fractional areas, and they can be containing tracts of 80 or 20, 10 or 5 acres, or any combination of these sizes, and that's what today's exercise is really going to be talking about. Okay, we're going to take a look at an actual example now, and this is 14.3 out of your textbook, and this represents a quadrangle. A quadrangle is going to be 24 miles per side. So that means that each of these little squares in here is 6 by 6. And those little squares are known as townships. So a township is 6 by 6. Quadrangle, 24 by 24. And then the townships are further divided into smaller pieces of ground, and those are called sections. So this one little square in there represents a section. There are 36 sections in each township, and each one is approximately 1 mile per side, and that's a quadrangle. Now let's take a look more specifically at the township and what it looks like. This one's just a little bit hard to see in this diagram, but the section numbers in the township always start up here in the northeast corner with 1, and they'll progress across this direction, then back this direction, then down, then this direction. So this is a serpentine pattern. So we're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, making this highlighted one down here section number 21. And let's just review. There is a section And how big is a section? A section is 640 acres, approximately 1 mile per side. This whole area here is a township. A township has 16 townships per quadrangle, and a township is going to be approximately 6 miles per side. Now let's take a look at an actual description. This is 14.7 out of your textbook. So if we were to take a look at this and we wanted to give the descriptions, we could give a description of any one of these different pieces of property. Let's start with this big section right here. That's this entire section. Okay? I'm going to highlight it here. We can see we could do that same thing here. But what have we got here? We start with the smallest block that we have. So this is going to be the south, because it's in the south here, east 1/4. So this is the southeast 1/4. Now let's take a look at that being further divided. And let's take a look at just this area right here. Okay? Now we start with the smallest piece again. So this would be the south 1/2 of the south east 1/4. Okay, let's go over that again. The south 1/2, because it's the bottom half, so it's the south half of the south east 1/4. All right. Now we could pick out any of the other little areas here. If we wanted to do this little guy right here, let's put some additional cross-hatching in here. And let's just do this guy here, and we'll make him look a little bit different. Okay. Now we want to describe this lot. This lot is going to be the southeast, because here we are in the smallest section. The smallest section of this is the southeast 1/4. And then the bigger picture is it's the southwest, because we're west, 1/4. So once again, southeast 1/4 of the southwest 1/4. Good. Now we can further subdivide that, and we can take a little piece right here. Okay, let's take this little guy right here, and we're just going to darken him in right there. So he's actually 1/4 then of this entire area. And we need to make sure that we remember that this whole thing is a section. How big is a section? Section is 640 acres. So one of these squares, like this square right here, we'll put the hatch marks going this way. Okay, so that square would be equal to 160 acres. Okay, and I should draw a line to both of them because we're talking about both of these together. That means that this little piece here is going to be a much smaller area, and it's going to be 40 acres. So we can see if we had this have 80 acres per side here, this little guy here, he's going to be 40 acres. Okay, so that probably lets you know that this guy over here, he's going to be 10 acres. And if we're going to give the description of him, he's going to take the smallest first. The smallest is the southeast 1/4 of the southwest 1/4 of the southwest west 1/4. And then of course these can be combined in any fashion in order to come up with your answer. So we can take a look at any of the other combinations. In fact, here's an example where you could have something like this, and in a situation like this you would have to describe two separate areas. Okay, you'd have to describe one area of the highlight because it goes over here, and another area over here. And so in that case it would be this area and that area. So see if you can do that one in the homework assignment. I hope that helps get you off on the right foot, and good luck.